Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and good day for everyone. So in this video's lecture series, I would like to discuss about the usability engineering. Okay, in the previous lecture series, I have highlighted that the usability is very important in designing graphical user interface. So in this lecture series, we're going to go through how to run the usability engineering to ensure that the application that we have developed fulfill the requirement of usability. So the usability engineering basically for us to measure either our system or our application that we have developed is fulfill the requirement or not. So in this lecture series, I'm going to explain about the usability engineering, which is taken from the Jacob Nielsen in his book about the usability engineering. So I think usability engineering has been written by this book written by Jacob Nielsen, and then those 10 usability engineering that proposed by Jacob Nielsen basically has been used widely in the world of application development. Okay, so these are the 10 usability engineering that we can use to measure our application. First, use a simple and natural dialogue. Use a language that fit to the user groups, minimize the load on the short-term memories, and make the graphical user interface coherent and consistent. Give ability to use a shortcut. Give a good feedback to the user. Avoid the error situation. Give a clear exit marks. Give clear and understandable error message. And then give clear help and understandable documentation. So we will discuss this. Then, so this is Jacob Nielsen. So he said that inadequate use of usability engineering method in software development project have been estimated to cost the US economy about 30 billion per year in the lost productivity. So based on this statement or quote from the Jacob Nielsen, to show that the usability engineering is very important for us to consider in a software project or in any application development project. Okay, so next we go for the first usability engineering, which is use a simple dialogue and language. So in this slide, I show to you a few interface, which is you may familiar with that. So which is from the banking system or online banking from Maybank and CIMB. I really like these two banks. Their interface is really friendly for the user. You can see because they are using a simple and natural dialogue in our own language. So example number 1, I think this is from Maybank to you. A dialogue is a little bit simple, and then the icon they use are really comfortable to the user. So this is what we call it natural dialogue. So natural dialogue is not only text but also refer to the graphical interface and then icon, symbol. You can see that. So very easy for user to understand the interface. So that is the factor. Use a simple and natural dialogue or language. Okay, certain software may use their own language. Some sort like application if you develop in the China country or India country and so on. Taiwan, Japan, they may use their own language. Okay, but in our case, in a Malaysian situation or globally, So normally they use English as a medium for product development. So, but I think the rest of the language, some sort like icon and so on, metaphor. So you need to follow a standard of that. Okay. Next, the second usability engineering is use language that fit to the user group. So I think this is very important. Again that in this you need to look at your user. Who is your user? Either your user is a children or kid, or maybe older persons. So they may have a different, or maybe a user which is have experience of Windows, some sort like this. So all the icon and so on relate to the Windows application. And then in the middle, this is example of our application. We have developed this augmented reality with our proposed interface, which is we have studied in detail about the behavior of the user. Then we come up with that interface. So again, you can see like a cartoon. This is also from our project. To come up with this metaphor, we have gone through several research to ensure that our target user is fulfill this requirement, and then the language is fit to them. So there are variety of the language. So you must to make sure that your target user will understand or easy to use whatever that language you put in the application. Okay. So in the third features, which is minimize the load on short-term memories. So as I said in the last lecture series, that some user maybe they have a little bit low effort to understand the interface and so on. So then you need to ensure that so they can really memorize or they can easily understand the interface that you have proposed. So we will minimize the load of user, to memorize something that they're not familiar with. So in this case, for example, I give you an example in this is Asia, and then this is normally dialog box that always appear in the Windows or Apple application. So they always use a blue button. The language is standard. The most important when user look through that interface, user already can capture what is the message that you want to deliver to the user. So this is very important because of user don't want to memorize a lot of things about your application. So means that the metaphor, the icon that you want to use, you must make sure that it is familiar with the user. Then they no need to memorize a lot of things. Okay. So next usability engineering factor is make the graphical user interface coherent and consistent. This is very important. I give you an example here is take up from the agoda.com. You can see all the shape of those menu or box and so on. They are follow very standard, and then you can see these are the advertising in the web also almost standard position. They have name of the hotel and then star rating, all those information in the proper color, and then also use a standard font and so on. So the consistent in the graphical user interface is very important. Okay, so these are the example. You can go through Agoda and also a few others application to get feel what is meant by consistency. For example, if you browse through CIMB or Maybank, they have their own standardization and then their own consistency in the interface. If you go through AirAsia application also, they are built in with the standard colors, standard graphical user interface, standard metaphor, standard icon, and so on. So this is very important. So consistency will represent how good that your interface it is. Okay. So number 5, give the ability to use a shortcut. So the most important aspect in the designing graphical user interface is to prepare shortcut to the user. You can see here, this is a first example that I can put here. Shortcut key. You can use shortcut key, for example, new presentation, and then press enter button, command button, and then end. So it will represent a new presentation menu. So those shortcut key is very important for those expert user to use or to want to go straight to that particular function and so on. So and then another shortcut idea is, for example, in the current PowerPoint application, which is, you can have a design idea. So it is another mechanism to shortcut the process, because maybe user no need to think about the good design. Then the software can suggest the design of that particular PowerPoint. Okay, so then it will be simplify the process, so user will have a good feeling and they will continue to use your application. So another example I bring here is about the calendar, which is you also familiar with. You have a month calendar, and then you can click with the number and then they go straight to that particular day. So this is a mechanism of the shortcut also. Okay, then you can see in my calendar, so you can have a lot of calendar. You can tick, you can untick, and so on. Then it will be appear in the calendar. So this also the process of the shortcut to make sure that user who are using that application, they can use the application properly and effectively and very efficient for them. Okay, next, you also need to consider the feedback to the user. So when you do something, when you do some processing in that application, you must give a response to the user. First, I think these are the image that I capture from the Zoom. For example, you can see the mute button over here, and then because of the icon look like a microphone, when you speak to the computer, then the color of icon will be changed to green. So it means that your microphone function. So these are example of give feedback. Then user feel very comfortable because of they know what happened when they interact with the software. And then another example is the when you mouse move to the a certain button and so on, you may produce or create a dialog box to explain what kind of that particular button that we pointed it. Okay. Another example I take from the Google. Create an account. So if you click or you mouse move to the create an account, then at the bottom there will appear and the instruction or some sort like the feedback from the system to appear that where if you click that button where the site will go on. Okay, what is a process that will be continue when you click that particular button. So this is very important to give feedback to the user, because of user basically really want to know, they don't want to lose when they use your application. Okay, and then number 7 is avoid error situation. So in your application, you need to consider to help user to ensure that they're not doing something or action which is can contribute error in the application. You need to control that. So then you need to give some guidance in your application to ensure that user can avoid from doing error. Okay, so this is one example. I took this from the one of the application from government agency. You can see that, for example, the place that you need to put your name or put the login. So you can see number my card pen deposit, means that this is field to write down your my card number. Then password, the way that they use the icon also relate to that particular field and so on. So at the bottom they put some note to ensure that user can choose a better graphical user interface. Okay, so for example, this is the instruction. If you want to have good presence or in the interface, so you need to use Google Chrome. So this is example. So the instruction give to user, then a user can avoid doing something not right in the system. So beside that, so this is another example. Okay, so user no need to type the place, maybe they cannot memorize a lot of things and so on. So you can put a certain word and then the system can list down what is the potential keyword that you want to type in that particular text box area. So all this component is the example how we can avoid user to do error in our system. Okay, so you can see also beside that, when user want to put the date and so on, we can straightly to prepare the format for them to choose and so on. Another example is if a user do something not right, so you can give some alert color for that particular field, some sort like what in the example in here, which is you not fill up anything, then the wrong message will be appear to ask user to fill up whatever that require for that particular interface. So this is very important for us when we are designing the interface. So next, usability engineering is give a clear exit marks. So this is also another important issues, because sometimes when user interact with your application, they do not know how to exit. So that's why you can see in various applications. So normally they use a blue color for that particular button to show that this is the exit way from one step to another step. So these are the example, the dialog box. I took that from the agoda.com. And then this is another example that we can control a user how to exit from the application. Number 1, customer confirmation. And then they go to the payment information, and then straight go to the booking confirm. So by using this kind of bar or this kind of chart in the our application, so it will give a direction for user how to exit the application. Another one is in the dialog box. So you must be, if you want to give a direction to the user how to exit from your system, so you can put it in the proper interface. Okay. Then another important point in here is you can see the word save as. So there are box over here. So in that box you can put a name. Basically, you can see that in whatever Microsoft Office application, either PowerPoint, Excel, and so on, when you want to save, basically, before you save, they will highlight the name of that particular file. So this is to remind user before they exit, they should put the suitable file name for them to remember what is the file that they want to save and so on in this example. Okay. So next is give a clear and understandable error message. When you handle your application, you must to make sure that your dialog box, your message that appear must be very clear, and then the error message must be understandable to the user. So in terms of language, in terms of symbol, in terms of icon, and so on. So I give you here is a 3 example. First is a dialog box, which is I took from the CIMB. Another one I took from I forgot, but I think it's from the also one of the online application. Another one is from Agoda. You can see there are 2. First is email. I put just my name over there, then they can recognize. So these are the error message. They will appear. Please enter a valid email address so we can send you your booking confirmation. So and then at the bottom, when I put my correct email, so then it will reply that please make sure that your email is the same as you put in the first box. Okay. So this is the example of how to give clear and understandable error message. I think you can implement this in the application. So last principle of usability engineering, or the guidance for usability engineering, is give clear help and understandable documentation. So in here, I try to capture from various applications now in the market, which is really they preparing help documentation which user can understand in the new form of the format. Okay, we can see the first example help desk is using avatar. Okay, you can chat with that application. I give you an example here is AirAsia. You also have experience about that. You can click avatar over the apps, and then you can communicate with that avatar. And then they try to give you to answer all the questions that you want to ask, and then you want to all the message to for you to clear with the interaction, or to meet all the purpose of what you want to do in that application. So another one. So in a lot of websites currently, they always have a live chat to help a user. This is very important. So this is principle number 10 on the Jacob Nielsen in his book of the Usability Engineering. Besides that, some of the application or website has produced a video to explain about the how to use that kind of function and so on. And then next, I think currently all the help documentation in the application have changed to the web-based or documentation and so on. So then people can, or user can click whatever that note that they do not understand, and then search in the help documentation. So I think this is the whole process of usability engineering. There are 10 items that you should consider when you develop the good interface. So I think that's all for my lecture series. Okay, so I hope that you can understand and then try to implement. So try to implement those 10 usability engineering concepts as a guidance for you to complete your graphical user interface for our project in this class. Okay, I hope that you can come out with a better interface because of interface. Basically, graphical user interface really is very important, very vital. The failure of a certain application because of we cannot come out with the proper interface. Basically, when you develop one application, first you need to ensure that your application will help people to do their work efficiently, effectively, and properly. So that's why all those criteria that stated by Jacob Nelson is very important. Okay, I know that you have learned this before in the class of human-computer interaction. This is a part of that. So in this lecture series, just to remind you about what is important that you should consider in the application development. Okay, so I think that's all my lecture series for this session. So and then I hope that you understand and then you can implement what I have shared with you in your project. Okay, thank you very much. See you in the next series of lectures.